Yeah, I don't think Zach Wilson, Aaron, immediately going to get Denver rethinking their draft strategy. It's just another lottery ticket in the quarterback room.
You would think the Broncos are absolutely drafting a quarterback. That Broncos quarterback room is looking rough. What does Sean Payton think that he can, maybe he can do the whole Geno Smith thing with Zach Wilson. That's what he's hoping, a Zach Wilson resurgence from his college days, Joe. But it kind of seems like they have to draft a quarterback, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's just going to change every day till Thursday. Is that what we're going to do? Like, there's just a
Yeah.
new thing with one of these three quarterbacks where that's what's going to happen. I when we have situations like this, I tend to go back to what we've been saying all along, what's been going on throughout. And you'll see that when we draft the draft with a couple of bets that I do like, that, you know what, a lot of this is just garbage BS that people are throwing out there, whether it's on the media side, whether it's on the team front looking for some sort of advantage. I do still think at the end, it's going to be what we've thought for most of the time, where it's going to be Caleb, it's going to be Daniels, and the betting market is going that way. And then it's going to be Drake May. And then what happens with McCarthy? Is somebody going to trade into the top 5, or somebody going to hang out 11, 12 and draft them there? Or maybe move in to one of those spots, maybe leap one of those teams where we were supposed to have a big quarterback run, or it's expected. Like, all this chatter about Daniels liking the Raiders, that would be his number 1 spot. That's cute. The Raiders aren't getting up there. Like, how are they getting up to number 2 to get him? That's what I don't understand. There will be surprises. There are always going to be surprises. Quarterbacks are the number 1 story, but I still think what we've thought all along, for the most part, is how this thing's going to lay out, at least in the top 3.
I think what's interesting too is whether you think it's going to be increasingly competitive in teams trying to jump over each other for those quarterbacks at 3 and 4 or maybe 5, or whether you think it's everybody takes a step back, kind of pushes away from the table and says, yeah, a little too rich for me. I'll let the quarterbacks fall to me, because those are the two competing lines of thinking, the two competing philosophies we got from Josh Norris and Matthew Friedman in these updated mocks that we just got this morning, Joe, is Matt says, well, no, I think Minnesota and Denver kind of hang back and wait to see how things fall. Josh says, no, they get aggressive. You have Minnesota trading up to 3 with New England to get May. You have Denver then maybe panicking in that moment, trading up to 4 to get McCarthy. I tend to lean, I think, a little bit more toward the conservative side. I think teams are going to let things fall to them at 11, 12, and 13, maybe jump into the 9, 10 spot if they think there's an opportunity there. I don't know if we get all the wild wheeling and dealing at 3 and 4 that some may expect.
Yeah, I think so. I think what's probably the most interesting parts about the top of the draft is what happens with McCarthy, what happens with the receivers. Because I'm still not 100% sold on exactly how that's going to go. We have been saying for quite some time, Arizona 4, we don't know if there's going to be any movement there, but man, there's a lot of buzz on Neighbors. Like, I would think that is a little bit different, and just the order of that. And I hesitate when we plug in so many spots. I keep bringing it up with all of our guests about number 8, and now I'm thinking about number 7. And we're starting to see movement there. That's where I think it gets fascinating, Aaron, because I don't know, you went O-line last year, Joe Alt, a new regime. Are they going to start Tennessee there? Or maybe a team makes a decision for the Titans doing something different, where I'm seeing a bunch of mocks, people pretty good at this, where Alt goes higher, where Alt ends up being a top 5 pick. Best tackle on
Love
the board?
that.
I mean, that would not surprise me at all.
I don't think it's that far-fetched, and I think at the current odds right now, we're looking at 12-1 on BetMGM. I think it could be worth a little bit of a sprinkle, because all along we've seen all the reports give major caveats in their language and, saying, I think it will be Jaden Daniels. Everyone I talk to from other teams think it'll be Jaden Daniels. But it's not really coming from within Washington. The latest reports that we got are that Washington really likes JJ McCarthy. They also really like Jaden Daniels. Multiple people have said now it's not going to be Drake May as of this morning. So I think we're between those two. And, there's some rumblings behind the scenes that, Jaden Daniels and was not, I guess, super high up on their list for other reasons. So I don't know. I think that JJ McCarthy is worth a bet. I'm on an island here. Everyone in the media is saying otherwise. But I think it's a small swing, low risk, high reward here for something that I think can change very rapidly. We already saw what happened with Adam Peters before in another draft he was involved with.
This is like the Super Bowl. I found a fantastic draft betting market. So Caleb Williams' mom has been a nail tech his whole life. She's been painting his nails on game day.
Going there.
Primary color of Caleb Williams nail polish: black plus 150, orange 2-1, white 5-1,
No.
pink, he's not doing pink again,
No.
6-1, blue 7-1.
Blue's good value.
I like that. Blue,
I don't know if there's a
7-1.
history.
I agree.
Yeah. Blue or
I need
orange,
to know.
Bears colors,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, or
need
white.
to know
I
who's-
think white could be in the
Is
mix
red up
too.
there?
That's a tough one. Red is not on there, but real quick, who will number 1 overall pick hug first? He's gonna hug his mom. Remember, he hugged her crying in the stands. Plus money on that, plus 125.
I want to know who's grading the difference between navy blue and black, because we could get a miss there, and I don't like what these books might do to us who are taking
Combo.
bets on nail colors.
No matter which defensive name we talk about, it seems like people are all over the place on them. Either top 10 or 20s. Like I've seen that with Verse. I've seen that with Dallas Turner, Latu, Murphy. Why are people all over the place on these defensive players?
I like Verse the best among the edge rushers, and typically I have him going to the Bears. But I would not be surprised if at 8, Byron Murphy is the first player drafted. Like they have needs in Atlanta at edge rush, but Byron Murphy is so disruptive. And it's unfair to compare him to Aaron Donald, of course, but he is that sort of disruptor in the middle of that defense. Maybe Quentin Williams is a better comparison in terms of being disruptive coming out of school. But either way, if you took him at 8, even at 9, I would think about it, but I understand the edge rush needs. And I know you, Joe, you were talking about the wide receiver Chicago. But I think that's the variation. Edge rush is where you typically start the conversation about getting after the quarterback. But when you see someone as special as Byron, and you hear murmurs that maybe Byron ends up being the first defensive player off the board because even though he's an interior defensive lineman, that's the disconnect. I think if Leatu Latu was healthy, he had a chance to be edge 1. I think Dallas Turner is going to be edge 1. I talked to Will Anderson back in the fall, and he's like, Dallas is actually better than I was coming out of Alabama, which is hard to wrap your brain around. I think Verse is the safest pick. He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen coming out of Jacksonville. Jaguars Josh Allen, not Buffalo Josh Allen. And so just what flavor of ice cream are you looking for? But again, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. What's the number for Byron Murphy?
That is, what's Murphy?
Being the first defensive guy? I know you have to wrap here, but whatever it is,
guy? Yeah.
I love that. I love Byron Murphy being the first defensive guy off the board.